first of its kind study that tracked the demographics of marijuana users, researchers found that the majority of marijuana users are actually not in the right financial position to be spending money on pot. Now, to be clear, this was a study conducted on the drug between 2002 and 2013. Here's what they found. In the early 1990s, only 1 in 9 past-month marijuana users reported using daily or near daily. Now it is fully 1 in 3. Daily or near daily users now account for over 2/3 of self-reported days of use, or about 68%. Now I want to stop there for a second because there's a little bit of an issue with methodology, if you ask me, because it's based on self-reporting. And it wasn't until very recently that marijuana use became less of a taboo. So I think back in the day, people were a lot more hesitant to report their marijuana usage, right? Because there was a lot of shame, a lot of taboo attached to it, a lot of stigma. And I think that stigma is slowly but surely, going away with more and more states legalizing it for medicinal and recreational use.
So there's two components to it. You're right. One is the reporting. People go, oh, yeah, I'm doing it. I don't care that you find out. But I actually also think, and I'm sure that it's a combination, there's a lot of people who are also saying, well, because the culture has changed, saying, yeah, who cares if I do it every day? What's the big deal? And so I remember when I was growing up, it's like a big deal, like, oh my God, you're gonna smoke pot, whoa, right? And yes, granted I was a nerd, so it was an even bigger deal for me because I was like, that's amazing and crazy, these wild people smoking the pot.
The devil's lettuce.
Oh, the devil's lettuce, I wouldn't have even known that. Okay, but these days, the culture has really, really shifted where people think it's not a big deal, partly because in a lot of ways it's not. And they think, well, what's the difference? If I was going to have 3 beers, 6 beers, I have 1 joint instead. And I actually, as you read more of these statistics, want to make the argument that I think part of the reason that they're smoking more pot is because it's actually cheaper, even though it's costing them a big chunk of their income. Beer would cost them more.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is cheaper. And also, look, I know a lot of people might be thinking like, whoa, daily pot use. But when I think about the impact that alcohol will have on me if I drink it the night before work versus the impact that marijuana will have on me, I mean, it's night and day. If I have 2 glasses of wine, sometimes I wake up the next day with a gigantic headache and I'm less productive. I can't focus as much. I don't experience the same problem with marijuana. Now, different drugs impact people differently, so this is not an endorsement of smoking weed before you go to work or the night before you go to work. But I think that a lot of people experience less of the downsides when they use a drug like marijuana versus drinking alcohol to unwind. So let me give you some more stats. Adults with less than a high school education accounted for 19% of all marijuana use in 2012 and 2013. Americans of all ages with a household income of less than $20,000 accounted for 29% of all marijuana use and 27% of all cigarette use. Now, the reason why they did that comparison or even mentioned cigarette use is because what the researchers found was that the habits of marijuana smokers are actually very similar to the habits of cigarette smokers. That's not to say that the two are the same physically or health-wise, but in terms of habits, they seem to be the same demographic, okay? Yeah. Also, users who spend fully 1/4 of their income on weed account for 15% of all marijuana users.
So that's a lot of your money to spend on weed.
Yeah.
And so I got a sense from this Washington Post article that they're like, oh, these uneducated poor people are smoking too much pot. And I know I'm reading between the lines here, but I sense that the article felt a little judgmental.
Yes, it did, yes.
So, but it's not just because they're irresponsible that they're doing that, and I think they might have even literally said that in the article at one point. It's also because of 2 things that they're not taking into account. One is, it's a form of escape. So if you're living a great life, you might not need to escape as much. So whereas if you're making under $20,000, there aren't a lot of things to celebrate. So you got your family, you got your friends, and you might enjoy a softball game, etc. But you're not living the high life. Well, you might be literally in this case, but that's why you go and live the other high life.
Yeah.
And this is as old as time, and people used to do with beer, which leads to point number 2. They're like, I can't believe they're spending 1/4 of their income on this. But if they were going to do it with alcohol, they'd be spending nearly half their income.
Also, look, here's another issue that I have with the methodology. So tell me more about the demographics regarding the poor spending a quarter of their income on weed. I mean, how many of these people are high school or college students that are still living with their parents and they can afford to spend a quarter of their income on weed? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good point. Yep.
So there are other questions that I have about the way that this study was conducted. By the way, I love that these studies are conducted. I think that, the more information we have about all drug use, the better we can be in the future in terms of drug policy. But, to make it seem like all of these people are grown adults with families and they're making less than $20,000 and spending a quarter of it on weed, I think is unfair. We need to know more about them.
Yeah, and I feel like, look, it's good data. The interpretation is where I run into a little bit of an issue with how it was reported. It makes it seem like, oh, you see it, we knew it. The pot users are the irresponsible guys sitting on their couch spending all their money on pot. When in reality, what they might be doing is being actually more responsible, saying, I can't waste all that money on alcohol. You can go to your fancy bar and spend $18 on your, martini or whatever you're doing, right? But I ain't got $18 to spend on one drink, or even if I'm going to my local bar, $6, $3, whatever it is, right? With one joint, I can get the same kind of escape that I get from alcohol. And now that the culture has shifted a little bit and it's not as frowned upon, and by the way, it's also less of a chance that you'll be arrested for it now, because it's been legalized in so many places, they go, well, I'm going to go with the cheaper and hence in some ways more responsible alternative. The Young Turks has a whole 2-hour show every single day, and you can get it ad-free if you're a member. tytnetwork.com/join. Go.